Hello and welcome to the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded at the 33 1/3 Music Appreciation Center in Speakeasy, located just outside of Detroit, Michigan. The Infectious Groove Podcast is your source for jammy jams, music news, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
Hello. My name is Russ, and I am always with Kyle. And as of 100 episodes right now, Michelle also.
Thank you. Right. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
If you are just joining us and you have not heard the first part of this episode, you made a mistake. Go back and listen to the first part of this episode from last week.
That doesn't matter. This is the one. This is the real 100.
Last week, we officially celebrated 100 episodes as a podcast. We are now on episode 101, but the celebration continues. And
the Michelleabration continues.
The Michelleabration has just started. And so what we are going to do is get back into all the clips from the podcasters and artists and listeners that they shared with us, and we are going to go right to the Odd Pods Media Network family for the first clip of this episode. And Richie from the Super Media Brothers has a great message for us.
Hey, it's Richie from the Super Media Bros podcast. It's hard to pin down just one artist or one band that's had a positive impact on my life because many have over the years. But I think the greatest example that I can give is from a musician standpoint. And that band is U2, and the album is Achtung Baby, which is my favorite U2 album. I could sit here and wax poetic all day about why that's my favorite album, just, on surface value, but the album itself was sonically different than anything the band had done before, and it challenged me as a musician to think outside the box. It was one of the first albums that made me think outside of the box. It challenged me to be not so one-track minded about genre, because this album took a lot of different genres and melded them together. Believe it or not, this was one of the albums that introduced me to electronic music, because they incorporated it into a few of their songs. I play drums, bass, guitar, keyboard, I sing, and one thing that always strikes people kind of funny is that I'm a guitar player, but everybody's like, I want to be Eddie Van Halen, and I love Eddie Van Halen, but I wanted to be the Edge. I love his writing. I love the way he textures his sounds on top of one another. I love that he plays around Adam Clayton's bass lines just beautifully, and he never overplays. He always writes to complement a song, and that's really what a musician should do. You service the song. And I've written my music differently ever since hearing that album, and it's made a huge impact on it. I write better. I play better. Sometimes when writing, I sit there and ask myself, what would the Edge do? But seriously, Achtung Baby has probably had one of the biggest impacts in my life musically, and it was obviously for the better.
Michelle, do you do that often? Do you sit down and say, what would the Edge do?
I have a bracelet that says that.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, and Richie touched on it, and I talked about it heavily in our 1991 episode. It's hard to describe how much of a chance U2 took with that album. And for me, like at the time, I loved it, and it's gone on to be legendary and so on. But again, we talk about how music touches everybody differently, and the fact that this, much like Van Halen caused Bumblefoot to completely change himself as a player, this caused a musician of many instruments like Richie to re-examine how he did everything with music, just from that one album, which is great. Kyle, we have a couple in a row of people speaking directly to you.
Perfect.
Hey guys, it's Chris from the Down to Rock podcast. First time caller, long time listener. Just calling to go ahead and congratulate you guys on reaching your 100th episode. Even though Michelle may only remember half of them, but nevertheless, congratulations. If I had to pick, say, an album or a song or anything that shaped my music or taste, I'd have to go ahead with Metallica's Black Album, Enter Sandman. It really was completely different than what I was used to listening to at the time, and then it went ahead and opened doors to other artists like your Ozzy's or your Rob Zombies, type, just to name a couple of them. But again, guys, congratulations on getting to that 100, and I look forward to hearing a bunch more.
I don't even think he likes the Black Album that much. I think he's just trying to impress you. But again, you talk about that same thing. That's a huge shift in Metallica's sound, but it caused someone to be open to tons of more music, Mm-hmm. So this next one, I really, really, really like the message behind this one. And it's an album. Well, all three of us have praised this artist a great deal, but Kyle, he's definitely one of your favorites.
Congratulations to the hosts of the Infectious Groove podcast. Your 100th episode. That is amazing. And you guys should be extremely proud of yourself. But I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk about an artist that means the absolute world to me. I don't think I would have gotten through my angsty teenage years without him. My name is Kevin, and I'm the host of the Jury Room podcast, and I want to talk about Eminem, Slim Shady. I remember I was in middle school, and we used to have a teacher's aide, and he was listening to it, and I was young, and the teacher's aide was a little bit older. I think he was in 8th grade, and I think I was in 6th grade or 5th grade or whatever the case was. And I remember hearing it, and I was like, oh, and it didn't really click. And I got into high school and middle school, and, you know, and you had the Slim Shady LP, which is just, I don't know. There's not many artists that me personally, I can play their albums or CDs or whatever you want to call them from beginning to end. And Eminem has always been that artist for me. I can put in a CD and play it from beginning to end and pretty much like every single song. So the Slim Shady LP come out, and you had Hi, My Name Is with Dr. Dre, and it just blew him up. And then he had his sophomore album and the Marshall Mathers LP, and there was so much anger, so much hatred, and it fueled a side of society that I don't think everybody was ready for. Eminem, in my opinion, at the time was the music that we needed that we didn't know we needed, and which he is a legend. He, in my opinion, is the best rapper, hip-hop artist that there is. If you actually break down his lyrics and his rhymes, it's extremely complex, and he is on a different level, I feel. My personal favorite album from him is Encore. I really enjoyed that CD. The Eminem Show was fantastic also. I really enjoyed that one as well, beginning to end. But Encore really hit home. I got to see him in concert, and I was 18, 19 years old at the time, and it was the Anger Management Tour 3, and I will never forget that experience. It was amazing. The concert from beginning to end was amazing, and it was just an experience. So, again, I would just like to thank the hosts of the Infectious Groove podcast for giving me a chance to talk about an artist that really means the entire world to me. Even to this day, I still, if I'm feeling angsty or if I'm in a bad mood, I'll put it on, and it really helps me to work through what I'm going through. So, again, thank you, and let me know your thoughts and opinions.
So for me, and I know you've talked about this, Kyle, not just with Eminem, but with other artists, if you look at Eminem on the surface, like if you're a parent group or something like that, you can look on the surface and just be like, oh, anger, hatred.
Yeah.
But there are so many people like Kevin that, and myself included, and you've talked about this on the show, where that helped you work through things where maybe, you know, you would have taken that anger out in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know, and I know for sure me and many other people, like how many people has Eminem worked as almost like their personal therapist, you know? And
I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love stuff like that. Now we have another message coming up from another artist who is another fantastic guitar player. And it's funny because this guy is very, very, very young. And if you were going to say like, who do you think would be an influence on this person, I would have thought easily from the last 15 years. So I was kind of surprised in a good way by this particular message.
What's up, guys? It's Jamie T. Just dropping in to say that Andy Timmons' Danger era is probably my biggest influence. He has a way with words, so to speak, like in guitar speak, in the sense that can only be described by listening to his song, Cry For You. If you listen to that song, I mean, that explains it all for me. Andy's guitars all have a tremolo system of some sort, and if you listen, he's always grabbing at the whammy bar. It's kind of how I play too. It's very expressive. I can't imagine not having that level of expression on a guitar. It almost kills me to play one without a Floyd Rose on it. But aside from how he flows, he also shreds with the best, and he has an ability to sit in with just about anybody and understand the key and then jump inside and out of the box like tastefully every time, and he doesn't have a hiccup. He doesn't skip a beat. I guess I'm going to leave it on a cool story I have about Andy. So I was lucky enough to get to go to the Winter NAMM 2019, and I got to meet Andy while hanging out with my buddy Carson from Pit Guy. He's the guy that makes the guitar picks for Sunset Boulevard. and he's right based in Detroit here, a good friend of mine. But yeah, I even got to have a word with the guy, and Andy had a picture with me too. A very nice guy. So like the experience, getting to meet one of my heroes while he was probably getting pestered by a million people that weekend, and he was still very nice. That's insane. So I ended up getting to go and see him play later that afternoon at the M3 Live Event Center right there in Anaheim, right around the block from the Anaheim Convention Center, with some of my best friends in the music biz. And that wrapped up my weekend. I flew home. And, man, I'll tell you what, Andy Timmons, listening to that guy, and especially the Danger stuff, if I'm in any form of a bad mood or whatever, like listening to him play can really perk me up on a bad day. And then the Danger stuff, that late era hair band, of course, that's me. I'll say that's the stuff I listen to every hour. I live it and breathe it, and it's all thanks to guys like Andy Timmons. And I'm going to throw out an honorable few mentions out there for Vito Bratta and Steve Lukather, too, for me. So it's just, I wanted to throw those in there because they're freaking awesome. So thanks, guys. Rock on.
Now, Michelle, how many phrases, terms, or artist names in that message did you just not have any idea what was being said?
What?
Well, all of it. Was it the part where it started till the end?
Yeah, and then some part in the middle, too?
Right. Yeah, a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
So, well, Jamie is a professional working like sponsored musician, and he gets to go to these places where these pros are all around. And to be able to hang out with the person that made you the guitar player that you are is just awesome.
That's awesome.
You know? And again, another nod from another person about how music is the thing that can change their whole mood and uplift their life. So, love hearing messages like that. If you haven't seen Sunset Boulevard in concert, like Jamie said, of course, hair metal, they're like a Steel Panther type outfit. They do all sorts of late 80s music. And Jamie is such an impressive guitar player. And it's nice for me to know now that I have Andy Timmons to thank for being able to see that on a regular basis. So let's move on. We've got so many more great messages coming up.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zach from the Midwest Meltdown.
It's Josh.
We're here today quickly just to talk about a partnering podcast that we have, Infectious Groove Podcast, that is approaching their 100th episode.
The Centurion mark.
Such a huge milestone. Absolutely incredible. Amazing music podcast. For that, we'd like to talk briefly about certain albums or artists, if that's what Josh chooses, that has had a huge impact on our lives. So, Josh, I'll let you go first.
So I have two albums, so I cheated. The first one, if anybody knows, let us know. First one is the Rockapella Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego album, because, I don't know, it's like the first CD I ever listened to, and there's like 7 bangers on that album. But maybe a more expected pick is Queen's A Night at the Opera, because that was something I like found when I was living at home, obviously, when I was like 6-7 years old, and I listened to that all the time. Obviously,
so you were just like going through your parents' stuff, and we're just like, what's this thing?
Oh yeah, it's all their CDs and stuff.
Very cool.
And so Bohemian Rhapsody's on it, but so I mean for obvious reasons there. But Sweet Lady is one of my favorite Queen songs, and that's on that album too. And then Death on Two Legs, the opener for that album, is also amazing. So Queen's A Night at the Opera, if I had to pick one of those two, would be my pick.
Very cool. Honestly, very good pick. Cannot go wrong with Queen. For me, it would have to be Reload by Metallica. To my memory, it's the first album that my dad had played for, that I can recall that he played in the car. He had all the albums by Metallica, but this one in particular, like I said, I remember him playing it first, and it had Fuel, which is my favorite song by them, and also The Memory Remains. Absolute bangers. Fuel got me pumped for every sporting event that I was getting ready to play in. Absolutely amazing. 2 amazing songs. Great album. And like I said, had a huge impact on my life, and they're my favorite band. Again, that is from us here at the Midwest Meltdown, so we just want to give, again, a big shout out, Infectious Groove. Congrats, guys, on 100 episodes. Absolutely fantastic.
Here's to the next hundo.
Ooh, there it is. Congrats again, guys.
Needless to say, Michelle's super excited she got to hear Metallica again.
Twice.
But I love that we're...
the third time.
Oh, yeah, that's the third time, yeah.
I love that Metallica's got 2 mentions so far for Load and Reload. Or 3 mentions, I'm sorry, the Black Album as well.
Yeah.
You know, everything coming from the later era, which is crazy.
Isn't that crazy that I remember what we talked about last episode?
I'm Stunned. We have a listener message coming next in. This listener is going to speak about a band that I love so much, but I'm so frustrated by on a regular basis. But he brings up great points about the band.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I wanted to call in and just give a shout out to one of my favorite records, which is Chinese Democracy. Not one of their more popular albums, but it is quite important to me. Just spent a lot of time as a fan, big portion of my life chatting about it online with other DNR nerds like me and meeting a lot of awesome people. For that reason alone, I think it's a very special record for me personally. Not to mention, when it came out, I was a little younger, a little more excited, and the memories I have with its release and then seeing the band finally just can't be topped. So just a great example of a record where, more than the music, why it's so important to me, it's about the memories associated with it and the connections I formed because of that record. So Chinese Democracy is my pick, is one of my favorite albums to kind of give a shout out to. I hope those that haven't listened to it give it a chance and find something to enjoy. And if not, that's okay too. It's the beauty of music. So yeah, thanks a lot, and looking forward to hearing more of the show.
So Alex's phone cut out at the beginning, which is why I chopped it, but he did mention again that he's talking about the greatest GNR album, Chinese Democracy. And the song I put in the background of that, because he didn't mention one, is Better, which, if anybody wants to know how good that album is, Better is the only GNR song that Michelle can stand. So
accurate.
That's how good that album is. And it's so funny that Alex said, if you haven't listened to it, give it a chance. And part I disagree with is where he said, if you haven't, that's okay too. No, it's not. The album is so good and no one gave it a chance. So I will use Alex's voice message as my beg and plead for one more time for everyone to please give that album a chance. I mean, even Michelle likes it. And or likes one out of 14 songs is not bad for you.
It's good.
And I don't even think you've. Sounds like an album review pick for me. Moving along in the Odd Pods Media family, we have the Muck Podcast. Actually, just recently joined the Odd Pods Media family. We've got a great message from them.
Hey, Infectious Groove. This is Hillary from the Muck Podcast, an affiliate of the Odd Pods Media Network. I'm your Odd Pod sister. How's everything going, guys? I really wanted to leave a message. I'm a huge music geek, and I really just could not think of one answer, except something just came up on my iTunes randomly, and it's the song Peg by Steely Dan. It's off their album Aja, and I just looked it up. It came out in November 1977, which makes so much sense because it's not too long before I was born that album came out. My parents loved this album and played it all the time, and so every time the song Peg comes up randomly, I am singing along and dancing. It just reminds me of my childhood and my parents, and I love a good song that has that kind of nostalgic feel for us, for you, and brings back all these memories. And also, I love like a good story tell in a song, right? Like something that's got you going along with the story about this woman, Peg. So I just wanted to let you know that it's short and sweet, but yeah, and it's a good song to dance to. So hey, I hope you guys are doing well, and much love from Florida. Bye.
And that album is very much like the Supertramp album, like one of those albums of between like 70 and 82 that just came in the mail. Like everyone owned those records. And again, most of these messages are being played in random order. And I didn't mean to have two Odd Pods in a row, but Rico, who is CJ's co-host on the Pod Askew podcast, left us a great message about an artist that means a lot to him.
Hey, Rico from Pod Askew here. The song that had the biggest impact on my life is the classic saloon song, One for My Baby, by obviously Frank Sinatra. I know you may all be rolling your eyes because I chose a Sinatra song, but you asked, damn it. I could have picked Young at Heart, which was the first Sinatra song that I heard, knowing it was Sinatra at least, and thus started this craziness. But Young at Heart is a little too schmaltzy for this discussion. I think I've always gravitated toward the sad loner songs of Sinatra. Wee Small Hours, Angel Eyes, What Is This Thing Called Love? Sinatra knew heartache and loneliness. When you're a lonely, lovesick teenager and Sinatra's your idol, One for My Baby is the way to go. It's a simple piano melody with the sad lyrics setting the story that many of us can relate to. Sitting in a bar, close to closing time, and a bartender who's heard enough of your sad whining by playing Shrink. The song is totally self-aware, and that was the genius of Frank at the time. He didn't just croon the song, he breathed them, he lived them. It is an entirely relatable song for those sad and lonely, with smoke in the lungs, bourbon in the throat, and ache in the heart. Even the ending, which is done masterfully, is never said outright. It's implied there's no ending, as he keeps half crooning, half muttering, like he's still trying to get the barkeep to listen, as he slinks out the door, probably to drink and cry alone. He keeps lamenting the long road of recovery and that possibly the journey will never end fully. It may be depressing, but it's my go-to when I need a dead artist to relate to me.
So, stuff like that. I feel bad talking over the chairman. Holy cow. When you take a song like that many people have probably just heard in passing, and you hear like the impact that one person takes from it, and that like in-depth analysis that he provided on that song is just awesome. And Michelle, I would assume you are just now finding out that Sinatra did more than a few songs,
and that he's dead,
and that yes, as a matter of fact, Frank Sinatra did pass away.
What's crazy about Frank Sinatra is whenever I hear a song of his, it transports me back to a place that I've never even been before.
Oh, for sure.
Which is a dimly lit like bar full of smoke, and he's up on stage playing the piano, singing, whatever.
Well, like Mike was talking about in the first episode, where you can go back to a specific memory you do have.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, you can go back to a memory you don't even have.
Yeah, I've only ever seen that in movies or documentaries, but like I can envision being there and listening to him and the environment and the feel and the smell and everything.
Yeah, well, to you and the listeners of this, I can tell you, if you've never been to Las Vegas, and you've certainly never been to Las Vegas in the late 50s or mid 60s, go and seek out and put on Sinatra Live at the Sands. And inside of the opening track, you will have visited Las Vegas in the mid 60s. That's awesome. It's just incredible, the stage that is set sonically.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's a beautiful point, Kyle. Okay, so we have another one about an artist who passed away, and you know, it's like so many of these as we age are going to happen, but again with positive things that you can take away from it.
My name is Tim, and I'm the host of the Movie Nostalgia podcast on Second Watch. Now, when I think back to a band that had an impact on my life, I have to go back to high school when I discovered a group called Linkin Park. I think the first time I heard them was when I was watching Fuse TV or something, but I was immediately mesmerized by their sound because I'd never heard anything like it before. I became obsessed. I joined their street team. I was part of the LP Underground, if anyone knows what that is. I have a ton of their stickers all over my acoustic guitar, and I just always loved how creative they were and how they always found ways to reinvent themselves and continue to experiment. I had the fortune of seeing them only one time when I was a teenager, and I had planned to see them again with my dad in 2017, but unfortunately that was the year that we lost Chester 2 weeks before our concert date. His death hit me pretty hard because of how much that band had meant to me as a teenager, and I still find myself going back to the music whenever I feel in a rut or just need to listen to something loud and energetic to get me going again. So Linkin Park will always have a place in my heart.
So here you have an amalgamation of several messages we've already received, where not only did the artist mean so much to him, but it helped him get through angry times, it helps him get through sad times, it helps him remember things, you know, and go back to a certain point. And I myself have seen, unfortunately, I've seen the last show from many artists. Like, I've been at a show and had no idea this was the last time I'd ever see him alive. I've also been in that position where I had tickets for someone, and, you know, they passed on the tour before they got here. To lighten the mood a little bit, we joked about with Scott Weiland. Michelle could have got me tickets to see Scott Weiland if she had walked across the casino. But then how did that turn out, Michelle? Why didn't you get the tickets?
I didn't.
Oh, you just didn't walk across the casino. Didn't. Yeah. But Scott Weiland passed away on that tour. Now, I did see, you know, Weiland several times with SDP and Velvet Revolver and whatnot, but, you know, it's one of those things where you just turn around twice and you're like, I can't believe he's gone now.
To be fair, I thought he was Scott Stapp.
Right, sure.
So I got the two confused.
Which, much like how easy it is to confuse R.E.M. and Pearl Jam, Scott Stapp and Scott Weiland, almost the same.
The same first name.
Obviously. We have one more clip that we're going to share before we go to break, and then we are going to have more clips to round out our huge celebration. I love the fact, by the way, that, and I didn't even think of this till you brought it up, that you somehow get your own dedicated celebration.
I sure do.
You sure do. Here's one from another music podcast that we're going to share with you.
Hey, this is Mark Joliffe, a.k.a. DJ Soundwave from the Infinite Banter Podcast. Definitely want to salute the Infectious Groove Podcast for allowing us to contribute our stories about how we got into music and where it started for us. For me, and I'm going to play a clip from a guest I had on recently, DJ Chill Will from the legendary Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew. He joined me a few episodes back, and we talked about basically what they're known for, The Show and Lottie Dottie. Those are the two songs that really jumped off. And for me, as a kid growing up, when I first heard Lottie Dottie, it was a rap. So instead of me talking about it, here's a clip from that episode I did with Chill Will talking about Lottie Dottie and how much of it affected me and how hip-hop music became a big part of my life due to that song. The whole reason why I like hip-hop music is because of Lottie Dottie. I mean, that's the song. Wow. That's the jump-off point for me. I was like 10 years old when that joint came out. And I might have heard the clean version. I'm not sure which version I heard first, but...
Right.
That's why, that's where it all started for me, man.
Wow. And before we put Lottie Dottie out, we had been doing it for over like maybe a year before we even put it on record.
Really?
Yeah. And we started not to put that on record. Our manager made us put that on record. He's like, you got to put that on. Y'all been doing it so long, you might as well make it a song. Because we had just did it in live shows. We never did it on. We had no plans on putting it on record.
Just thinking of the concept of having no instrumentation whatsoever, just beatbox and rapping on a. It's just. Well, I'm sure you guys didn't really think about it at the time, but it's revolutionary if you think about it.
Right. Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, and like you said, it was something you guys did on stage, and then to put it on a record, and then of course the rest is history, right?
It just took a life of its own, because we would see the reaction from it live on, when we did it live, but when we started recording, we never even thought about putting that on a record, And we said just record it, and we like it, we like it. We don't like it, we don't like it. It came out good, so we were like, let's go.
The early days of hip hop, that's a lot of it. I mean, a lot of those songs back then. I mean, I have to imagine that's some of the similar conversations people were having behind the scenes in the studios and such.
Our only regret with that was that we wish we had made that 2 songs, because that was the B-side to the show,
Yeah.
And they was like, that was strong enough to make. We could have did a whole nother record, with that.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's true.
It did what it did.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably the best single of all time. If you think about the A and the B side, I mean, it's hard to argue which is the better song. So, man.
Right, exactly.
Man.
Crazy.
Yeah, like I said, that song, I heard that and Crush Groove, and I was like, that's it. I'm done. I still like Michael and Prince, but this is what I'm into now. This is what I'm putting the Duran Duran record away, and this is what I'm into now.
So that particular clip made me think of, and I made mention of this in the first episode about our 100th episode celebration. We have been so fortunate in the people that we've talked to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm still stunned that a lot of them happened. Steve Gorman from the Black Crowes is one of my favorite drummers of all time. And the fact that we got to talk to him, we got to talk to a member of the Jackson family, as in like those Jacksons.
Right.
Pink Floyd was and always will be one of my favorite bands of all time. And to get to speak to the bass player for Pink Floyd is just stunning. Jeff Scott Soto, I still am stunned that we even got to talk to Jeff. And then when we emailed him and said, okay, well, we don't need much of your time. And he was like, no, I've heard the show and I like it and I want to do the whole show. And I was like, what?
With us?
Yeah, with who? Just things like that are just stunning to me. And who knows what the future holds, it's not totally set in stone yet, but Parker Millsap is an artist that we love a great deal, who recently reached out to us on Twitter, went to our website and sent us an email saying, hey, I'd love to come on your show. And I hope that works out. But all of the artists that we've talked to so far, had interactions with, it's just amazing to me, you know? So, and I think we can tell from the clips that we've got that the way that we present music and we talk about it touches a lot of people, which I think is great. So I am going to take us to break. When we come back, we are going to have the final part of the celebration of Michelle, the Michelle-abration, if you will. And we are going to have even more clips to share and a little bit of a round out on our 100th episode. You are listening to the 100th episode and the celebration on the Infectious Groove podcast on the Odd Pods Media Network.
Hey there, we're BFYTW Podcast. I'm Pantsless Aaron, I'm the host, and we are three silly people playing very silly games for fakey points that don't count for anything. Our permanent team captains are a veteran and a podcaster, and a veteran podcaster, it's Stevie.
Hey guys, it's Midnight Smoke here. I love being funny, goofy, and I'm here for your entertainment.
And his permanent opponent, my oldest friend and a gamer and a storyteller, it's Jorge.
Hey guys, Jorge here, HH_Empire, and I am the logical voice to this Maelstrom of Chaos, sometimes.
Well, if you like silly people playing silly games, then you want to come hang out with us at BFYTW Podcast every week. That's BFYTWpodcast.com.
Hey, I'm Lauren.
And I'm John.
And we host the Beard Al Podcast, the podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al.
And a lot of other things. We're funny.
Yeah, that's basically what I told him to say. Good job with your script.
Listened.
Yay! But no, seriously, we try and pair a beer with a Weird Al song and talk about both things and go where the conversation takes us. It's fun, I promise. You'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, if you like talking about random things as well as, fine craft beers and some wonderful craft music.
Craft music, I love it.
But not craft singles. So far, this promo is going about as smoothly as one of our episodes.
Absolutely. If this has enticed you in any way, please go to beardalpodcast.com.
http://www.beardalpodcast.com. I repeat, http if you want it to be secure, https://www.beardalpodcast.com.
Bye.
Bye.
We are back, continuing to round out our 100th episode celebration in episode 101. Going to get right back into all of the wonderful clips that we got from all the listeners and other podcasts and artists themselves. Here we go.
First of all, I want to thank the Infectious Groove podcast for having us on for a minute.
Yes, we both do.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Jamie.
And we're Married with Television. And we have a story about an artist that was kind of special to us.
Very special to us.
This is back in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. But we were together for a long time, and we thought we had a good idea by that time about what music each other likes. When you were around me, you'd listen to what?
Misfits, Scorpions, lots of hair bands, lots of punk rock, Violent Femmes, Dead Milkmen, that kind of stuff.
I got the impression you wouldn't have said no to some Slayer.
Probably would have, actually. I never got that into hardcore metal.
But you were more hardcore than
yes.
But I was into Wax Trax, industrial music, Front 242, KMFDM, 9 Inch Nails,
We both listened to Pixies a lot, or Frank Black.
Yeah. But one day, after we'd been together for 8 years, I was looking for something under the bed, and I found this old box. This just had a bunch of CDs in it. So I opened the box, and you weren't there, and it was all Elton John CDs. Elton John. The
reason it was all there is because I had just bought this new box set that had come out.
But there was more than a box set.
I know, but that's why it was readily available, is because I got the box set and I put that in there.
It was a small discography of Elton John. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen you rock out to no Elton John before. We didn't listen to Elton John together. And I figured it was somebody else's. I'm like, where'd these come from? Why do you have these? Whose are these? And
they're mine.
So I'm just really into Elton John. I'm really closet into Elton John, apparently.
I don't know why I didn't listen to it around you, but it was like something I thought maybe you didn't like it.
But what you didn't know was that I had my own box downstairs in my office. And so I brought that up. I'm like, I got a few Elton John of my own.
You have the ones that I didn't have.
Yeah, I know. So we both found out that day that we were a closet Elton John fan.
The next year, we went to a concert together.
Yes, we went to go see his Red Piano show in Las Vegas. My favorite Elton John song is Better Off Dead.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick a favorite. I mean, I'm going to go with Madman Across the Water, that whole album.
It seems like it's Madman Across the Water.
Yeah.
And from then on, we rocked out together to Elton John ever since.
Yeah, we grew closer, so it made our marriage better. It made...
Yeah, it brought us closer together. We've seen him, 3 times now?
Yep, twice in Vegas, once in Philly. Thank you, Infectious Group.
I love the fact that these folks were together for 8 years.
Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome.
And then he makes it sound as if like finding the box of Elton John CDs was like finding a gun or something. You're like, what? I didn't know you were into this, you know. But then again, and I love he had all the stuff she didn't have, and it's just awesome, you know. And then I like how all of a sudden now that they're both out in the open as Elton John fans, they immediately go to an Elton John concert, you know. Whereas like I would imagine, you know, walking along the Vegas Strip and seeing that before, either of them knew that the other liked Elton John would probably Elton John, you know. And then,
that's funny,
you know. So that I thought that was awesome. Here is the second of 3 appearances from I call them BFYTW, but that's what their show very much stands for. A certain thing that they always say, which is, you know, their business. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Pantsless Aaron from BFYTW podcast.
Oh yeah, he said it.
When I was 15 years old, my best friend invited me over for a sleepover at his grandparents' house. And in between going swimming in their pool and sitting in the dark playing the board game Nightmare, he put on Rush's Counterparts album. And before long, I was insisting that we listen to it again and again. I bought it for myself as soon as I could, and I listened to it nonstop for years. I did eventually check out Rush's entire discography, like Presto, Roll the Bones, and The Majesty that is 2112. And I do enjoy all their music, but Counterparts is special. I think it struck a chord with me, pun intended, because that album is all about duality, which is something I very much struggled with in high school. Who I was versus who I wanted to be. To this day, Nobody's Hero, Animate, Stick It Out, Cut to the Chase, and Leave That Thing Alone are all in permanent rotation on my phone. In fact, the album is still a part of my life, and my friend is not. The album outlasted the friendship.
For me, Counterparts is special because that's the very first time I saw Rush in concert, was on that tour. And just as a kid, you always hear about these things, you know, Rush is this huge thing, you know. And I remember not being opposed to it, but just being like, this can't be as good as everybody says it is, you know. And then like 3 songs in the show, I was like, you guys, this is every bit as good, you know. And I would go on to see Rush at least another 4 times. I think the last time I saw him was probably 6 years ago. And Neil Peart, their amazing and influential drummer, is one of those people like we talked about earlier, where just out of nowhere was like, hey guys, we live in a Neil-less world now. Yep. You know, yeah. So I'm thankful that I did see them as many times as I did over the time. But again, just a time in the memory. And even that, where he mentioned the friendship being gone, you can still remember the good times and hearing that album, you know, because of the sleepover and whatnot. So let me move us right along.
Hi, I'm Dave from the Beer in Front podcast. I want to thank Infectious Groove for having me on. And the artist I want to talk about is Bob Mould and the album he did with his band Sugar called Copper Blue. During the 80s, Bob Mould was the guitar player and singer for the great punk band Husker Du, based out of Minneapolis. They split up. Bob put out a couple solo records. Workbook is a great one on its own. And then in the early 90s was looking to do something else and formed a band with some other musicians and called themselves Sugar. They put out a couple records, but Copper Blue, for me, is still one that's in heavy rotation. Copper Blue came out in September of 1992 and has 10 great tracks on it. It starts out with a banger, The Act We Act. Perfect opening song of any record, just hard. Just goes at you hard. Great lyrics on it. The Act We Act is under my skin. And every song is just as good. The ones you might know, minor MTV hits back in the early 90s, were songs Hoover Dam and the big one was If I Can't Change Your Mind. If I Can't Change Your Mind was probably the closest to a pop song on the album. Great song. I believe it was in heavy rotation on MTV. That was the one that I heard on the radio here, back in 92. Probably my favorite song on Copper Blue is a song called The Slim. The Slim was slang for HIV and AIDS back in the 80s and 90s. And this song was written about an acquaintance of Bob that must have passed away from AIDS. So this song, The Slim, it's a powerful song. If you ever get a chance to see him live, which I have countless times, every now and then he busts out The Slim, and it's even more powerful to hear live. After Sugar disbanded, Bob Mould went back to his solo career, and that was kind of all over the map. But currently he's playing with the 3-piece band, which is, I think, in his wheelhouse, and they're putting out great albums. If you ever get a chance to see Bob Mould live, I highly recommend it. I want to thank again Infectious Groove for having me on. Happy listening.
There's not a lot about Bob that I can say that Dave didn't say, but I will add this. If you enjoy any music that was made from 1991 on, you owe Bob a thank you.
Yeah.
I think you can hear just from the clip of the song that Dave said was his favorite on the record. If you've ever heard a Nirvana album, boy, do you owe Bob at least a thank you note. Yep. Maybe send him a Reese's Pieces or something. This one here is another one that's just a great time and place message that we got from another member of the Odd Pods media family.
Infectious Groove. How in the world are you doing? This is Sam from the 500 Section Lounge. Congratulations on the 100 episodes. Yeah, we are actually doing the same thing here recently and celebrating 100. So I know the joy of being to this point where the longevity hits triple digits. It's awesome. So congratulations. I wanted to drop you guys a line and talk about, I wanted to talk about just one song that really has helped me recently, because we moved from Northeast Indiana, and I'm from Northeast Indiana for my entire life. Being 42 years old, that's a good amount of time. And the song that I'm talking about is You're My Home by Billy Joel. And just the words in there that it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter, where life takes you. As long as I'm with my family, I'm A-okay. So it's a pretty scary time that you move from somewhere that you've known your entire life to a place that you know virtually nobody except for your family that's with you. And that's home. So that's the gist of the song by Billy Joel. And I love Billy Joel anyways. So that makes it even better, but just the message behind the song is really helpful, and I've gotten through a couple of hard times just being able to listen to that and understand that my family's with me, so I'm A-okay. I appreciate you letting me drop you a line and talk about a song that's helped me along in a couple of rough times, especially here recently. And you know what? Congratulations on 100 shows. Here's to hundreds more.
So, Michelle, you were upset at the notion of 1,000 earlier. Hundreds? Are you okay
Why
with
do people keep wishing this on me?
wishing this on you? Solid. Excellent points from Sam, for sure. Yet another, and this was another one that is an artist. The one that's coming up next is an artist that I was surprised that someone sent us a clip on, and then when you listen to the story why, you're like, okay, yep, that makes total sense.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris from the Geek Peak podcast, and I just wanted to talk for a moment about a Portugal the Man album, Evil Friends, dropped in 2013. This album had such a pivotal point in my life, and it had such a large impact on me personally. It's kind of a psychedelic pop, rock, progressive rock kind of album, but it just has so many great songs. It's got some recurring, I think the word is motifs. Hopefully I'm using that correctly. And overall, it's just fantastic. I mean, it starts off great with Plastic Soldiers. I caught this album actually live at Bonnaroo in 2013, and I didn't really know a lot about this band, but it's been forever on repeat in my car. I still got the CD when anytime my phone's dead or needs to charge or something, I put that on and I just play through it. I mean, I had to have listened to this hundreds, if not thousands of times. And it always just makes me feel good. I feel like it's just really great music. Personal favorite songs, I love Waves, Hip Hop Kids, Modern Jesus, and Evil Friends. Those would be my top songs. But yeah, if you haven't checked this out, I would definitely recommend it. The lyricism's really good. I love how weird his voice is combined with just the sound of this album in general. And it's definitely my happy place, so check it out. And shout out to The Infectious Groove. You guys are awesome. Take it easy.
So this is funny. The next clip that we have starts out great and then has some pointers or some tips and or criticisms for us. It's very funny. You'll hear it very much as like something that pops into his head. Like, I've left this great message and also I have some other thoughts to share.
Hey y'all, this is Derek from Ratchet Book Club. Congratulations on your 100th episode. I'm super proud of you. Like, that is big and it's dope, and it's everything right now. And I look forward to congratulating y'all again on your 200th episode. But you asked, and so the single artist that has affected my life the most, I would say, is a little-known group out here in the world called Loose Ends. And I'm sure they're not little known, but my mom played them incessantly when I was a kid. Like, everywhere we went, their music was on. It was a tape in the car. It was a tape that was used while we were cleaning the house. It was a tape that was played at parties and at quiet moments and sad moments. And they had a song that reached every aspect of your life. If you were feeling high and happy, they had songs for that. If you were going through a breakup or a relationship issue, they had songs for that. I just realized a couple days ago that they literally have a song about depression. I didn't know it was about depression, but they have a song called You Can't Stop the Rain, and it's about depression. And what I find is that songs speak to people in different ways at different times when you need them to. So it may not be about depression to anybody else, but to me, it is, and that speaks to the majesty of their music, because that song came out in the late 80s, early 90s, before anybody was even talking about it, just depression and how they felt. So Loose Ends is one of my most influential groups ever, and their albums are all just top of the line to me. And I hope that one day I'll be able to affect somebody's life the way they affected mine. Again, congratulations on 100. I dig y'all. I don't agree with you about John Mayer. I think that he had a lot of songs that y'all didn't give credit to on that album that you reviewed. And on Invincible, Michael Jackson's Invincible, I feel like Whatever Happens by Michael Jackson and Carlos Santana deserved a lot more credit than y'all gave it. But I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day.
In my defense, and I think minimum you two know this, and the listeners probably do too, if we're going to sit down and talk about what I like about any particular thing Michael Jackson did, if you think this 100 episodes being 2 episodes, we do another episode on Invincible, I can make that 4 or 5 episodes. And we can talk about one song for the entire episode. So there's so much good there that we didn't get a chance. And I also don't think we so much disagree on John Mayer as we just didn't praise as much of that particular record as they like, but there's only so much we can do. We're trying to put out a lot of good in the world. There's only so much we can do. Now we'll move on to a couple of clips from further members of the Odd Pods Media family.
Hey everybody, it's Dylan, Kendall, and Corey, co-hosts of the From the Middle podcast. Russ, Michelle, Kyle, we heard you were on your 100th episode. Congrats. And you wanted to know what music has meant something to us, what artist or album. We couldn't help but kick in our favorites. So Kendall, go ahead, buddy. Let them know what your most impactful or a positive album or artist has been for you.
Yeah, just a positive artist for me has been Kenny Rogers. As a kid growing up, we went on road trips all of the time. And when we went on road trips, you could bet that there's a particular cassette tape of Kenny Rogers. I can't tell you the name of the album or even give you a full set list. I was that young. I do remember The Gambler was on there, among others. But Kenny Rogers, every time I hear his name, hear other people talk to him, makes me want to raise my hand and be like, you know what? I love that guy.
Corey, what's had a positive impact on you, buddy?
Definitely not my favorite album of all time, but one that had a positive impact on me was Weird Al's 1996 album, Bad Hair Day. Mainly because of Amish Paradise. I played that album to death. And it was really my first intro to parody music. And so as a guy who loves stand-up and comedy and music, it was like the perfect blend of all of those worlds. And it really introduced me to Weird Al, even though I think that's like his 11th album. So yeah, Bad Hair Day, Weird Al.
Wow, man, I'm gonna go with Michael Bublé, and not just for the Christmas albums, just as a whole artist. It's like this beautiful transition of music from my grandparents to my parents, but with a modern voice for me it's both nostalgic and new and clean and different. And I remember being introduced to him from his first album back when he was doing Starbucks commercials, if you want to Google that. And man, it's just still to this day, it's some of the most relaxing, enjoyable music for me to chill out to. So that's it. Those are some of the musicians and albums that have had a positive impact on us. Congrats again, guys, on the 100th episode.
Congratulations!
Woo! So, a couple of things. Number one, Michelle, I specifically chose Fever because I know you love that song.
I do love me some Fever.
And then, nods to Kenny Rogers and Weird Al again in that message. But do you remember when we worked at Media Play where, like, there was before Michael Bublé and then all of a sudden everyone came in, started buying that album all the time? Do you remember that, or do you? Yeah, that's probably you don't remember last week.
No,
yeah,
we worked at Media Play.
We did, as a matter of fact. But it was very much one of those things where, like, all of a sudden people kept coming in and asking for that record, like in a massive amount of people coming in and asking for him. And I was like, who the hell is this Michael Bublé? But I love what Dylan brought up about it being a bridge to, like, the things that you're.
Yeah, and a lot of people hate on Michael Bublé based on exactly what he just said, was like, the Christmas music and that kind of stuff he puts out. But a lot less people would give a shit about that type of crooner music if Michael Bublé wasn't
carrying it forward.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah. Well, you have, like we talked about before, with Sinatra would be your grandparents' music at least, and then Harry Connick Jr. very much brought that forward for a lot of people's parents, and then you have Bublé to take it forward again. So love that a great deal. I'm not sure what they refer to their show is in this clip, but this is another one from BFYTW. So let's all find out together.
Hello, I'm Augie from BFYTW Podcast, and I would say that the album that's most influential to me is actually Demon Days by the Gorillaz. I had a cousin who had a friend who was updating his CD collection, and I happen to have a CD player still. It was during a time when I was having a difficult transition, and I would come home from a long stress day and just lay in my bed and unwind with music. And Demon Days was one of the only CDs I actually had that I could even call my own. And it was such soothing music to me, and just something to kind of jam out to on your own and learn the lyrics of. And it helped a lot at de-stressing at the end of the day. So I would oftentimes find myself listening to Kids with Guns, Dirty Harry, and of course Feel Good Incorporated on loop. And helped a lot.
So again, you have something that just helped someone through their whole time, which is awesome. And most people would probably think of the Gorillaz and just think of that one single, and there's so much more going on to them. We have two more clips that we're going to share, and then we're going to do a quick wrap up. So, just so you guys know, I would like you to comment on how you feel about 100 episodes and so on. Giving you a heads up. Michelle, I'm just going to tell you flat out, I hesitated using this clip because there are flat out attacks against you in this clip.
Bring it!
And for anybody listening, there's some unsavory language used in this clip. So, I'm just going to play this and see what happens. No, he uses the M word. So let's that in and of itself could be an explicative. So here we go.
Hey guys, friend of the show Joe here, first time caller, long time listener. I heard you guys were coming up on your 100th episode, and in true Joe fashion, I had to be late. So sorry for the tardiness, but I just wanted to congratulate you guys on 100 episodes. The podcast has been amazing. I've been a huge fan from the jump, and it's just refreshing to hear that there are other music fans outside of the podcast that are as passionate about the music that's talked about and passionate about music in general. And it's refreshing to hear that there is good music still out there to be heard. That's not old recycled music. It's new and it's fresh, and you guys certainly have put some artists and bands on my map that I probably wouldn't have found otherwise. So if for nothing else, that has been amazing. Here's to another 100 episodes. I'll be calling a bit earlier for the 200th episode. Don't worry about that. But I just wanted to congratulate you guys. Love the show. Love you guys. You guys are the best. I always enjoy coming on the show. I always enjoy everything that Russ and Kyle have to say. And then there's Michelle, who says stuff, but I really don't enjoy it. I mean, I've listened even past the hogwash, pardon my language, that was Pet Sounds getting a 5 out of 10 once by Pearl Jam not being a good opening track. Just so many Michelle-isms that have really, it should turn off every listener. But for some reason, we all keep coming back. It's the charm. It's the laugh. It's everything. You guys are the best. You guys are the absolute best. I love you guys. And so the one record that I truly, truly love, and that has had a really positive impact on me, is Songs from the Big Chair. It's just my blanket. It's my musical, comfort blanket, I always call it. If I'm feeling down or I'm feeling a certain way, that record, it's a musical safe space. It makes me feel good, put it on, and it is an album that has really had a positive impact in my life. And I just wanted to share that with you. Again, congratulations on the 100 episodes. Honestly, there have been 100 great episodes. No stinkers here. I would give them all 10 out of 10. You guys are the best. Like I said, love you guys and love the show. And I can't wait for episode 101 and beyond. All right. Take care, guys.
I didn't even mean for it to happen that way, but Joe's featured on episode 101. Now, I apologize beforehand. I set that up, and I thought he said the M word, and I hesitated. I'm sorry to use this kind of language. I thought he said malarkey on the show, but he used the H word, and like when you're quoting something and you don't want to so I'm just quoting Joe. I don't want anybody to think I use this language in my regular life. Michelle, do you have any comment on your opinions and thoughts being called, like you don't want to say, they were called hogwash. What do you think?
I have no opinion.
Well, Joe did everyone a service and found a way to have Michelle not have an opinion.
I have no words, Joe.
On something. These have been some amazing clips that we've got, and I have the last one to share. And the last one that I have to share is from a individual who has called in to talk about probably my favorite artist of all time, which is why it gets to be the last clip of the episode.
Hi, this is Alice from the Backtracker History Show, and I'd just like to tell you a bit about the artist that's had a positive impact on my life. And for me, it was Michael Jackson, because growing up, there didn't feel like there were many role models of colour to look up to for my generation. And then in the 80s, when I started getting into music, Michael Jackson seemed to burst onto the scene. I knew he'd been in a group with his brothers, but Off the Wall just seemed to have everything my teenage years wanted. And as his popularity grew, I realised that there was a young man here who defied his colour. And even though he was one of the youngest in his family, he still managed to forge a life of his own that outshone all his siblings. When Thriller was released, I was totally blown away. This was something completely new, and the songs are still on my playlist today. He was black and creative, not sports-based at all, and that's something I could relate to. All his songs were inoffensive and easy to listen to, and the videos were a work of art in themselves. I was lucky enough to see him live, and he was a born performer. I was down at the front, and his dance skills and overall performance was incredible. He genuinely pushed the boundaries of entertainment. As I grew older, the likes of Prince and Madonna started edging their way into my life, with Prince being my second most influential entertainer. But Michael Jackson will always hold a special place.
So, just a very quick comment on this, because as you guys know, I could go on about Michael Jackson for literal hours. That's one thing that I never think of with being a young white man when I came into him, is that he was such a powerful influence for people of color. And we've talked about on the show before how he literally opened the door for people of color to be played on MTV with that big controversy and so on. And again, I'm going to stop myself before I go off about this, but he would have struggles with his own color as he grew older because of having the disease of vitiligo. And I think that he would be so proud that everything that he endured in his life, like now that he's passed, June 25th is World Vitiligo Day, to bring awareness to this thing that the press and casual fans were so relentlessly awful to him about, of something that was so important to him, his color, that he couldn't help. And I think that the fact that the day that he passed became the day to honor and raise awareness about this thing, so people can be less ignorant and treat other people in a better way than they treated him, I think is something that he would be proud of.
Yeah.
So having said that, I'm going to start with you, Kyle, because you're easier to put on the spot, and this will give Michelle time to wind up. 100 episodes, man. What do you think of, you don't have to comment on all of them. What do you think about the clips we got, the love we've been shown, the artists we talked to?
It's crazy. It's still crazy to me that people go out of their way to listen to our show.
Supposedly.
I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I guess they probably feel the same way if I came on their show and was like, hey, I really love your show. Mm-hmm. It's a weird thing to hear. And, when we got noticed in person, from the show, it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah. I remember because the guy because of the YouTube channel, the guy recognized me as a person, but then as soon as you started talking, he literally was brightened up a little bit. Wait a minute, are you the Kyle? And I was like, come on.
Yeah. So it's crazy to me. I not to say that I never thought that it would get this far, but it is a huge accomplishment in the podcasting world to get this far. So
yeah, and although Michelle doesn't believe it, we're not just talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Many people are listening to what we have to say, and I love that there were so many clips that were said exactly what we asked for, which is what is important to you or what's had a positive impact. But there were so many people that referenced so many specific points throughout the show that that you have a loyal listener base that's listening to what you have to say. Even the folks that mentioned that they remember more of the show than certain people on the show.
Yeah, and the fact that there's inside jokes that people carry on throughout the episodes, and new listeners now wouldn't understand, but if you go back, you listen and you know exactly where they come from.
Pick it all up. Now, I have to stress, I don't agree with Joe using such language. I think that the H word was a little much. But
you're hogwash, Joe.
We don't respond to violence with violence, Michelle.
You have to bleep that out.
Yeah. Well, I had to with somebody over here. Michelle, round us out. What do you think about 100 episodes, all the love we've been shown, the listeners that are very real that we have that are listening to everything we have to say? Your thoughts?
It's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that this was just for funsies. And
it is.
It is, but I didn't think that it was going to be a thing. Honestly, I thought I was just going to come here and have some funs and some laughs and talk about music, and now it's a thing. And it's a thing that other people like too,
which is crazy. I know.
Yeah,
and I know that. And I don't say that. I don't ever mean to come off as I expected this to be great, and I expected, but a lot of people told us ahead of time, you guys should be doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that the way that we go about it and being positive is a draw. It's the way harder road. I can tell you that. We could get so much more interaction and so much more clicks from a casual listener who just hears that we're going to say the 10 worst albums of the 90s, right? Because they know we're going to dunk on something they love, right? Mm-hmm. But I would rather have cultivated the audience that we have, which is people that are telling other people are you sick of negativity in the world? Or are you sick of people who just want to insult what you love? Then you should listen to this, and a lot of the loyal listeners that we have all been word of mouth from people passing that on to other people. And then there's always a certain amount of preparation made for certain opinions coming from one side of the table.
I don't know what you're talking about. This side?
Yes, that side over there.
Oh, man.
Of that table. So, I mean, there's not a lot I can say that hasn't been said. From the bottom of all three of our hearts, we are so appreciative for the support from everybody. The fact that I honestly, when I put the call out and told you guys what the idea was for the episode, I was like, oh, what if we get like 5 clips?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Then we're going to have to talk. We're going to be like, oh, you remember when Michelle said that? Like, okay, we talked for 5 minutes. Here's some clips. And the fact that like we have to be like, bam, 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 when we could talk about each of these clips for 10 minutes apiece.
Yeah. Yes.
From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you so much. Well, I feel like I can get Michelle's commitment on another 100, but we'll have to check again with her on the next 100 after that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's too far in advance.
My favorite thing is that because of the way we're recording this, essentially you're going to get a week off, like an unplanned vacation from recording the podcast. So even though this is a huge thing and a big milestone, and we had all this love shown to us, when we get to the next episode, I'm going to be like, what did we talk about last time? And you're going to be like, I don't remember.
No clue.
Not one clue at all. Like we always say, and for, I think, the greater majority of the last 100 episodes, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
Bye. Infectious Groove podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Opening credits read by Stacey Robinson. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mics.